What is going on, everybody? What's going on? I had to come to you tonight because I have something very important that I want to have a discussion and a conversation about. So welcome to the Working People's Podcast. James Hollingsworth here. I am your host, and this is the place where everybody desires to build a financial legacy. Oh, I said it all wrong. Desires to build generational wealth for their families. I don't know what I'm saying. Something like that. Generational wealth and a financial legacy for their family. I've worked 79 hours this week, and you could probably see it in my eyes, and that's probably why I couldn't get my tongue. It was all tied up. But welcome to the Working People's Podcast. James Hollingsworth here, your host, and this is the place where everybody desires to build generational wealth and a financial legacy for their families. And tonight, we're going to talk about the failure of welfare. Some people will say, what do you mean failure? It has helped so many people. Notice I didn't say hoped, because in my opinion, it has not helped other people to excel. Because I will say it right up front and right off the bat, I don't see how you can be the best version of yourself and really have financial security and financial prosperity if you are living off of welfare and in a welfare state. I said it. This may be the night when I truly indeed, and I hope that it's not, say something that can get me kicked off of social media or banned indefinitely. But we are streaming live on 3 platforms tonight. We're streaming live right here on my personal Facebook page, and that is James Hollingsworth personal Facebook page, as well as the Working People's Podcast Facebook page. And we're streaming live to YouTube on the Working People's Podcast YouTube channel. So if you're watching over there, please press that subscribe button. Also, make sure you watch some of the other videos and content that we have up. Also, press that thumbs up like button over there on YouTube, as well as drop some comments below and ring that notification ding, 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 ding bell. You know why? Because you will get notified when we upload new videos and new content if you ring the bell. And if you're watching here tonight, if you do come through on the Working People's Podcast on the Facebook page, if you do come through here or on my personal page, start dropping some comments below. Give me your thoughts on what we're going to talk about and what I'm going to just say a few things about. But before I do that, let me do something real quick here. Let me do something real quick. Can I do this like this? I could. Let me see. Oh, let me try this. Okay. Yes. I want to do this real quick for you. So, want to just encourage you, if you haven't already done it. Let me drop this off. Let me go ahead and enlarge this here. If you haven't already hit up Sharita Green, breaking news. If you are one of those people, and perhaps you have some funds in an old 401k, something that you're not currently contributing to or anything like that, or some other type of employer-sponsored plan, if your amounts are declining, and for many people and some, that's happening. And if you've lost some money, or perhaps up to 50K, just maybe in the last few weeks or so, due to the economy, the last I looked, the S&P 500 was down over 24% year to date. There are options available to you to stop the decline and start to protect your hard-earned money today. So contact Sharita Green today for your free financial review and for a customized strategy just tailor-made for you. Contact Sharita Green. If you haven't seen the podcast show that we did together on Becoming Your Own Bank, you can go and watch that. Go over to the channel. Things are cataloged a lot better, and you'll be able to find the prior shows that we've done, including that one with Sharita Green on becoming your own bank. But you can contact Sharita Green if you need some help, and that is at 314-915-6995. And along with that, if you need to have some business consultation and you need some help getting your business up and off the ground, are you looking forward to upgrading your skills and your career as well? Well, Creative Consultant and Training Services has the right training for you. Let us guide you and your employees to developing and growing new skill sets and that are beneficial to help you improve your services, your performance, your productivity, and your quality. So if you want to be able to really upgrade your skills in your career, skill set in particular, contact my co-host on the show, and that is Deidre Leaks. And you can contact her at 419-410-9438. That's Deidre Leaks, 419-410-9438. And finally, the Accelerate Your Purpose Conference. So right here, you're going to see a code. Use a different code. You could use my code, WPP20. So sorry about that. I should have, put my code in there and highlighted my code. But my code, if you want to register for the conference, the Accelerate Your Purpose Conference Intensive, that's going to be on November 5th, 2022. It is WPP20. And November 5th, 2022, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. The doors will open at 8:30, and that is in Saginaw, Michigan. Accelerate Your Purpose. The address, let me get the address for you real quick. Let me do this. Let me get the address for you real quick. All right, hold up. So let's go over here. I'm going to get the address for you real quick. Oh, where we at? Right here. Here we go. I don't want that, but here we go. Let's get the address for you. There we go. I think this should come up. Oh, nope. I think we might be still showing up under the old name. Okay. Let me see. Here we go. So the address is 4570 Mackinac Road. 4570 Mackinac Road, Saginaw, Michigan, 48603. And they still have us listed here as First Assembly of God, but it is Grace Valley Church. So Grace Valley Church, 4570 Mackinac Road, for the Accelerate Your Purpose Conference on November the 5th, 2022, and use the code WBPP20 for 20% off. I'm going to repost the what is it called? The link. I'm going to repost the link at some point during this video. I might do it after the show ends, but I'm going to repost a link to the Accelerate Your Purpose Conference, where if you do want to attend, you can register at that link, and I'll put it in the description here in a bit. So let's talk about this. I really want to hear from you if you do come through. In my opinion, there has been a failure, and I could talk personally to Black people in particular, but not just African Americans, but to so many people. Welfare has been a detriment. It doesn't provide real financial security for your family, and really, in my opinion, it has really hurt many people and their generations of their families of really being able to learn financial literacy and to understand the value of working and building something through working and developing your careers and things like that. And there's a lot of things, in my opinion, that started in the mid to late 60s and the 70s that really has caused, I would say that has really caused A breakdown in family. I'll say it that way. A breakdown in family. And if you look at statistics and you can go back to 1960, you will see that in 1960, the for Black African American families, you only had about a 5% chance of not being married, and we had healthy families. I know a lot of people are going to say, but the men were controlling and abusive, and women couldn't work. They could work. They could work. So that's not true. They could work. It's not true. They could work. So if you think about so many things that we complain about and we say these are problems and this, that, and the other, we have more freedom and flexibility now in our country and culture than we've ever had before. And women received the right to vote in 1921, I believe it was. But however, Black women, along with the Black community as a whole, we were given that right in 1965 to vote. However, many of our African American women, they championed the feminist and the women's liberation movement. And I'm all for, and I've said it clearly before, that I believe in equal opportunities. Absolutely. And I'm super excited when I see women living in their purpose and building their careers and things like that as well. However, we do see a correlation if you go back and you look at numbers and statistics from when abortion was instituted in around 1973 to even birth control, March 22nd, I believe, 1972. You see a correlation between things like that and the sexual revolution of the 1960s with the breakdown of the family. And as you see those things implemented into our society, you also saw divorce rates, because no-fault divorce came out of these things. And there was a number of things that I believe, and personally, in my opinion, it didn't help us in terms of building strong family structures. If you look at things prior to 1960, and I've alluded to the documentary that was done that you can still find on YouTube called The Secret to Selling the Negro, done in 1954, you will see that the African American families contributed $15 billion of untapped consumer spending, untapped potential for consumer spending in 1954. And our families were strong. We were more than 80%. We were 80% married. And if you say, well, racism did this and racism did that, I don't necessarily say that there hasn't been some negative effects of racism, because obviously it has been, and yet in some ways it still remains to be. However, I would say this, that prior to the Civil Rights Act of 1965 that gave us the right to vote, and so many other things that it gave us the rights for, prior to that, prior to segregation under John F. Kennedy, when he segregated schools like the University of, Alabama, in the late 50s, that didn't really kind of take a force until the early 1960s or so in that area. You take a look at segregation, Jim Crow laws, all these other things that we know affected us. We still had strong communities. You look at Idlewild in Michigan. You look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. You look at Black Wall Street, 1921. You look at the Black people that had factory jobs in East St. Louis in 1921 as well. So there are different times in history that we can go throughout and see that in spite of all those things that you would think would have crippled us as a community, we were thriving when it came to families and marriage and building strong legacies through family. And we did have a lot of untapped buying power in 1954. And in that documentary, you see where the government, including the of Commerce, the Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. They hired psychologists and different things like that to study the buying habits of Black Americans. And we know that out of that study, one thing that they determined was we like to spend our money on things that were flashy and expensive because we like to impress people. So we do have a lot of buying power, even from 2021. And I've shared this statistic before as well. We currently hold in the United States the number 3 spot in terms of the amount of buying power that we have in the United States, and that's at $1.6 trillion. Yet we are not really building wealth. And at the present moment, in terms of marriage, we are the lowest in terms of the largest ethnic groups in America. We are at the bottom in marriage and relationships and building legacy through family, through marriage. And we're at the top when it comes to children born to unwed mothers. So I don't necessarily want to come on here to just say I'm just going to try to, Will Smith slap you in the face to convince you of anything. But I will say you can go and do the research and study yourself, and you will see a correlation. You will literally see the graph showing marriages, right? And you literally can look at it. And I'm not going to put all those up tonight. You can go back and watch some of the prior videos and shows. But you can literally see 1965, in terms of Black women, you only had a 7% chance that you would not be married. But also in 1965, the Playboy Foundation was started right in the middle of the sexual revolution. And in the early 70s, we know about women's lib and we know about the feminist movement. Once again, I am all for equal opportunities. Absolutely. But along with when birth control was put in place in 1972, coming out of the sexual revolution, a lot of children being born and all of these things, welfare was offered, beginning in terms of a broad spectrum offered now to Black Americans. And what happens? All of a sudden, no-fault divorce comes in. I got to look at when that happened, when no-fault divorce went in place. But no-fault divorce also came out of these things in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And as a result of that, abortion and things like that, however you feel about it, I ain't even talking about all that. But you can see the correlation between divorce rates going up on the rise when all of those things was instituted in the early 70s, including welfare, because welfare was a way that through no-fault divorce, you could, sever the ties with your husband, and you can go on state-sponsored benefits, welfare. Back in 1935, when the benefits first started, they call it a woman's pension. How is it a pension if you didn't have to do any work to get it? Right? Great. So you do see a correlation between no-fault divorce, the sexual revolution, birth control being implemented in 1972, abortion coming about around 1973 when it actually went into place, I believe, when it actually went to be enforced, where it became a law. And you see all of a sudden now, divorces go up, Black community, marriages decrease, and now, as I said, we are currently the least married group. When prior to 1965, we were the most married group. But if you say, we're fighting for our rights and this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. Look at historical data, ladies. Look at historical data. Look at historical data. Was all of that really about you? Because you didn't even get the right to vote until 1965, right? So was it really all about you? And now here's welfare that says you don't need a man. You can collect welfare and you can, provide for your children. And even now, if you get on welfare, there's so many stipulations and things to it. You can't have a X number of dollars invested in any type of investments or stocks or mutual funds or anything. You can't make I want to say, unless they increased the numbers, it was somewhere around $2,000 or $2,500. I think it's $2,000. You couldn't have more than $2,000 in any type of rental or supplemental income from any type of rental properties. Because if you did exceed that, right, anything like that can cut you off. And also you can only go to school so many hours. You can only work so many hours. And there's so many stipulations in place. When you're talking about welfare, tell me, how does it really benefit you? And how has it really benefited us since the early 1970s in terms of building family and legacy? And in my opinion, I don't see anything that is really done to help us to excel, to better ourselves. That's my opinion, right? And I want to hear from you all. What's your opinion about it? Has welfare helped our people? Has it done anything beneficial enough to us where it has improved the quality of life for us and it has improved our family structures? I would like for somebody to convince me and show me otherwise. If anything, welfare has caused a great divide in the family structure and has hindered us from being able to get back to those family values that many of us despise, and we say it's really sad, the mindset that we have right now as a culture of people, because many times we constantly want to point the blame at people and say it was the prison system and the stop and frisk laws and all of these black men was in prison. But now, since 1970 up until this present time, we have collected so much data to show that a lot of things that was spun as narratives were not even true at all. Truth be told, I know it's a hard, big old hard pill to swallow, and it stings to say it, but the truth be told, many of our women, our sisters, our beloved sisters, many of them chose benefits over marriage and over a husband, right? And that's a hard pill to, and it stings. It stings for me to say it, but it is so true. You can blame it on drugs, all the above. You could blame it on drugs. You can blame it on male incarceration, black male incarceration. You can do all of that. But remember, all of this came out of the 1967 sexual revolution and the early 70s, when all these things that I named came to be about. What does that have to do with the 80s and this whole crack epidemic that we keep blaming on the breakdown of the family? Brother Rodney, man, you should come on with me and talk about this. Let me text you. Brother Rodney, Dr. Rodney Williams. Let me text my brother. He should come on this show and talk about this with me. I'm going to see if I can get him real quick. Y'all be patient. Y'all going to hang here for a second with me. Let me contact him. And let me see. My brother. I will send him a link. If I can get him, I'll send him a link and just join him right in with me. Come on the show with me and talk about the failure of the welfare system. Okay, I sent the text. I hope you see it and respond back right away. You feel me? And I really want to get some other people's thoughts and opinions about this, because I know there's a lot of varying things. And one of the hardest things to do oftentimes is to take accountability to say, hey, you know what? Those things really did happen. Those things really are true. I mean, go think about it. Somebody else explain to me, how do we go from having the most married group of people, right? The strongest family bonds and structure. How do we go from that to literally almost overnight, within like a decade, we went from that to literally skyrocketing. I mean, and look at you can see the poverty rates and everything. How do we go from that to the largest group of? I'm gonna tell her, okay. Tell her I'll be on for a bit. Send me your email when you're ready to join. I mean, how did we go from that to the highest rate of unwed pregnancies? Some of the staggering abortion rates, right? And how do we go from that to literally a breakdown of the family structure? And you can't tell me, because I've watched documentaries where they were interviewing people, women from the early 70s, mid 70s or so, about, their welfare benefits and different things like that. And it's sad to see it. And the protests that took place with people walking down the street, literally protesting to get welfare. Literally walking the street with signs protesting about wanting to get welfare benefits. I got to pull up something. And that's the reality. That is 100% truth. So, like I say, I'm all for opportunities, because it really, in my opinion, it helps us to become better. But somehow there was a mindset that got developed and came out of it. And now I know y'all hate it when I say this, but now this is when you start hearing, I'm an independent black woman and I don't need a man. When what is wrong with taking what you have? Because if we're talking about things being better, if it was just a thing where a lot of the men was working and you was like, well, we couldn't work. Well, yes, you could. We couldn't work. Yes, they could. My mama worked. My mama worked. She had jobs, right? She had jobs ever since I was a kid. She worked. My dad was a carpenter by trade, but my mom worked. And most of the women that I know, a lot of them worked or had some type of job, right? Whether it was factories or as a nanny or, as a teacher or something, right? So, why can't we take the fact that things have gotten better, and now combine them together and build strong families? It's like, well, we couldn't work, or we didn't work, or we didn't have the resources available to us because of this, that, and the third, whatever those reasons are. I will just say, okay, I'll take that. But now that you got jobs and you got education and careers, why don't you want to build with somebody? Oh, hypergamy. I forgot about hypergamy. He has to be socioeconomically on your level. So now let's look at these average numbers. Let's look at this. Let's pull this up. Boom. So now, let's just say you did get an education, right? And you did go to the university and you matriculated, right? Let's say all of that happens. So now you look at this and you say, okay, these are the average salaries. Black men, the average income of black women. So these are salaries. These numbers are from November 30th, 2021, right? From the Equitable Growth Organization. So $43,000 annually is the average salary of black men in America. The average. These data, like I say, this data is from November 30th, 2021, so it's not that old. And the average salary of the average annual salary of black women, $40,500 annually. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you know, you do meet a gentleman and he's at that annual amount, 43,000 annually. All right. Well, per capita, we see that the average salary of women, or black women in particular, is just below that. In fact, I want to say it's the lowest of all major ethnic groups. The average salary of a black woman is lower than any other major ethnic group in America, right? But let's just say you're an exception to the rule, and you come out of college, you got debt, student loan debt that Deja talks about, and then you end up getting a decent job, and let's just say you are making about $60,000 a year. Why isn't that you still can't partner with someone that's making $43,000 annually? And here's the dilemma. Let me come out of this. And once again, this might sting a little bit too, but here's the dilemma. Many of us have gotten off of welfare, but culturally, there's been a mindset that has been developed because of it. And in spite of us now progressing and improving our lives, especially with education and opportunities and all the above, we have still dragged that same welfare mentality from the 70s into our present day culture. And that, I believe, is the reason why. Because look at this. Let's look at this. The money is there. We have the money and we have the resources. In 2019, women contributed an estimated $26 billion in labor every day to the gross domestic product, the GDP of the United States, right? Women of color supplied a significant amount of labor daily to the GDP of the United States. You see this? This is from 2019. It has increased substantially now. Black women, $3.8 billion daily. Y'all don't hear me. $3.8 billion daily to the GDP, the gross domestic product of the United States. $3.8 billion. Household spending in 2018 was $13.6 trillion. Single women across all income brackets spent on average $34,817 on goods and services in 2017 to 2018. Working married women contributed over a third, 37.1% of their family's income in 2017, right? And over a quarter, 29.4% of wives earned more than their husbands in 2018. So just under 30%, right? So that still means 70% of the men still earned more, right? And that was an increase from 15.9% in 1981. So I do understand and get it that as salaries have increased, in my mind, I would think that it would improve the possibility that now we can truly build together. But actually what happened was, because of the welfare state and all those things happening in the early 70s, rather than help to build a family, it broke down the structure of the family, in my opinion. And then as things did start to improve, the mindset and mentality of not needing men still was there. But over here on the other side, the power of black dollars, these numbers have increased since this data was provided in 2017 and 2018. So, but at that time, one of our biggest spending categories was ethnic hair and beauty products. So there was a total spent of $63.5 million. And out of that $63.5 million, black African Americans, black people, we spent 54.4 million dollars. So 85.65% of all spending on ethnic hair and beauty aids was spent by black people. 85%, over 85%. So I want to go back to this number, 3.8 billion. And this data, like I said, is from 2019. This number has increased a little bit since then. So 3.8 billion daily. This is the amount of labor daily provided or supplied to the gross domestic product of the United States by black women. So if you think about it, oh, this is hard to say, but if you think about it, what happened? What happened? How did we allow handouts? This is. I know this stings a little bit. How do we allow handouts, government assistance, welfare, state-sponsored benefits? How did we allow that to break down? And this is where the hard divide comes, because a lot of people truly believed that, you know, the women were being mistreated somehow, and that they wasn't happy, and all of that stuff, right? They truly believe that even though they, you know, their grandparents and things were married and they still married, that all these men were cheating and this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. Have y'all ever watched, you know, the divorce court show? Not the divorce court, but the paternity court show. What's her name? Judge, what's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. Shame, as much as I watch that show. And it's always men on that show crying about paternity and wondering if they the baby father. Is that my child? Said no woman ever. I'm not sure if that's my baby. Said no woman ever. Yeah, I heard some older people said, mama's baby, daddy's maybe, because truly indeed, the brother, the man, he's just guessing. So that's why he's over there looking to see if he can see some features that look like him. And even as the child grows up, you know, becomes 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, he's constantly looking, oh, that boy, yeah, he does look like me. That's my boy, because he looked like me. Yet and still, I want to know, how is it that we have more opportunities, but yet those more opportunities hasn't resulted in a better and stronger family structure for our people? I really, really want to know. And I think, like I said, that a lot of it has to do with a welfare system that has failed us and failed us miserably. And I wish that our people would totally reject it and not get on it. And now, you know what? Here's a replacement for welfare. You ain't gonna like me, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Child support is just as egregious and a failed system as the other. Well, if he make a baby, he should support it, right? Even though men have had no say so since early 70s, 1973 or so, no say so in the birth of children. Who gets born, who doesn't. That right has exclusively belonged to women. My body, my choice. So even if a man was like, I don't want to be a father, he had no say so. Yet, that responsibility 100% has, and it is given solely to the women. Even if a man decided, well, you know what? She says, I'm going to have this child, but I don't want to keep it. I'm going to put it up for abortion. First of all, he has to prove that he is the biological father of the child, right? And he has to do that through the court system. Then secondly, he has to prove that he is a fit person to even have custody of this child. He has to prove through the court system that he is financially able, that he is competent, that he has the resources, and that he has some type of stable environment that he could raise this child in. He has to prove all of that before he could even get custody, legal custody of his own child. And many of you will say, well, because it is truly my body, my choice, this, that, and the third, and all of that and the above, you will say, well, men should be held accountable if they father a child. Yet they have no say-so in that child. Once conception happens, they have no say-so. Absolute zero. Zero. And even through a divorce, the man has to fight to get the rights of his, to see his children and be involved in their life. He has to fight tooth and nail. And I'm telling you right now, you may say, well, the friend of the court, this, that, and the third. But the friend of the court will enforce child support even to the point of getting that man put in prison if he doesn't pay child support. But they will not legally enforce the visitation documents that were stamped as this is what it should be in terms of his legal rights to see and be involved in his children's life. They will not enforce it. They will at some point, after years and years of you filing complaints, and even filing complaints, trust me, I'm telling you what I know, even filing complaints, right? They will take the paperwork that you filed the complaint. There's a form that you fill out, all that. Yet and still, while they research that complaint, they won't stop the child support from coming out. And if you have any type of arrearages, it could potentially affect your driver's record and your driver's license. Can get revoked. You can be prevented from being able to get a passport, so you can't travel internationally because they're going to think that you're trying to flee, the United States or whatever, or flee your obligation, your legal obligation as they have stamped it on you, right? All of that they can do, but yet they'll say they can't enforce visitation rights, even though they were legally stipulated in the terms of the dissolution of marriage. And then they will tell you, after you file complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint, they'll eventually send you a letter say, well, you have to go back to the court system, to the judge, and file an injunction to have your visitation rights, whatever. In the meantime, while you are fighting for your rights to be involved in the life of your children, those child support checks never stop, right? And you're still held financially responsible. So this is one of the reasons why I think that the whole welfare state, there was a show, and I should have pulled it up. I probably could find it again, but there was an interview that was done, and I found it on Google, where it was a guy, a news reporter. He was interviewing this woman, and the setting was somewhere around the early to mid 70s. And he was asking her about her welfare, and she said that she was getting $158 a month. However, she found a job, and she was making, I think she said $54 a week. That's what she said. And because she didn't file the paperwork saying, reporting her earnings, they cut her off of welfare, and she was trying to get back on welfare, right? But when he asked her, well, she had 6 children, and when he asked her, he said, well, you moved up here from Arkansas to wherever they was at. I don't know where he was interviewing her at, but it was somewhere up north, right? You moved here from Arkansas. She said, yeah. And he says, well, what about the father of the children, your husband? Well, I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at. I ain't seen him. When I left, I don't know where he's at. Yet at that time, and trust me, I know this stuff. I got personal firsthand knowledge. But yet, you can go down and just say, I don't know where he's at. And they start writing you a check and giving you food stamps and cash benefits. So, you know, it's sad to say, but it's a hard truth, you know. And some of you, even after listening to this, or if you have dived into other types of studies and other types of maybe some research or that you've done or whatever the case may be, some of you may still continue to hold on to all of these fathers that have abandoned their children, that were put in prison and incarcerated, and that was strung out on drugs in the 80s, and that's why the family broke down. But I'm telling you, if you go back and do your research, you will see it is directly tied to welfare, sexual revolution, abortion, birth control, and no-fault divorce. Do your homework. You'll see the statistics for yourself. And welfare, even though many of our people are not on it, well, let me not even say that. Erase what I just said right there, even though we have many people that have other opportunities now through education and employment and things like that. Many of our people still have a welfare mentality in spite of that, because generations of our family lived on welfare, was raised on welfare, right? And some of our families, we have generational welfare families. Tell me we don't, because yes, we do. Just when I said that, you probably thought of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 people that you know that grew up and still live in a welfare family, a generational welfare-minded welfare family, literally, where the grandmothers, as far back as you can go, they were on welfare, and even now, the children, the grandchildren, it is a generational, I'm going to say it, it's a curse. It's a curse. It's a curse. But, oh God, it's going to sting again. I know it's going to sting. It's a curse. It's an absolute curse. It has not helped us. It is a curse. And I know you could say, well, you know, the poor, we disenfranchised and this, that, and the third. Everywhere you drive now, even over the last 2 years when you couldn't even hardly get people to work, everywhere you go, you see a we're hiring sign. And I have data, and I've shown it. I'm going to go and pull it up again, because I need to just go on and dispel some of these folk that's out there. I can sense it, the criticism, the critique. I'm going to go and put this up again, because even showing the statistics, some folk probably won't even still believe it. This data is from this is something that I posted last year, November 9th, 2021, because I heard a black guy, African-American man, black man, criticizing black men for abandoning their children and, being bums and this, that, and the third. So I did my own research. I can't stand when people just keep spinning these narratives without any type of proof, statistics, data, anything like that. So I almost found myself engaging in an online debate. I'm reading it over a post I saw about too many men being boys, and that's why the world is in such bad condition. Now, mind you, it was a black man who made the post, so I strongly assumed and concluded that he is referring to black men. That's what I did. Once again, we have another black person with anecdotal evidence spinning the narrative and stereotypes about black men. U.S. Census data shows that 72% of African American men between the age of 16 and 29 have not fathered any children. And that 60%, 60 plus percent of black men that do have children are living in the home, eating dinner with their children every night. And 69% of black men are employed. Yes. And truth be told, statistics and data shows that the majority of, we got 80% of the children being born without fathers in the home. Statistics and data shows that the majority of these children that are being born without fathers in the home are being born and birthed and conceived by a small population of serial baby makers. You got 1 out of 3 every man that has not had any intimacy with a woman in more than a year, and 1 out of 3 that are virgins. And over 50, maybe I ain't gonna find that statistic. I should find that one too. I want to. Part of me want to find it. I want to find it. Over 50%, I want to say that the number's like 54%, something like that, of black men have never been married. They're single. And 69% of black men are working. So where all these deadbeat bum dads at? It is literally a small population from the data right there that I just showed you. 72%. Let's do the math. Because I'm going to put it on the calculator so I don't have to do it in my head. Mine is 72. That leaves 28%. 28% of the men fathering 80% of the children that are born without fathers in the home to unwed mothers. Of the 80% of children born outside of marriage, without a father, in the home, outside of that, 80% of them, out of that number, is 28% of the men that's fathering all those children by unwed single mothers. Now you want to talk about anecdotal, go ahead and do an anecdotal look around your own neighborhood, around your own circle of friends, around in your own family. Do the anecdotal look and tell me if you don't see where there's the case where there's a single mother with multiple children. Find out who the baby daddy is, and you'll find out that he's got 5, 6, 7, and 8 children, and sometimes more than that. But yet, here we go. It's gonna sting, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's gonna sting. If you baby number 5, 4, whatever, 2, 3, whatever you are, it's gonna sting when I say this. We got to start taking some accountability. Because the man has already proven himself to be irresponsible, sexually irresponsible, and lack discipline, sexual discipline, and he can't. See, look, if you're going to be wealthy and you're truly going to build generational wealth and a financial legacy for their family, you have to be able to do something called delay gratification. That is a key component. Discipline. Key component. Discipline and delaying gratification is a key component to building financial stability and wealth. And if a guy has already proven himself to be irresponsible, sexually irresponsible, and he already has multiple baby mamas, and he ain't married to none of them, neither been married to any of them, why are you still over there allowing him to come to your place, Section 8? Are you working and paying the rent every month? However you want to say it. Why is he over there with his socks off? Because, you know why? Here we go. And it's going to sting. Yep, it's going to sting. It's going to sting. It's going to sting. But guess what? I'm going to say it anyway. Because I'm just here to hope you. Yep, it's going to sting. You know why you over there? because this average boring guy that's only making $43,000 annually, he don't have enough swag. And he's boring. And if you look at it, out of the relationships that fail, 80% of them, the relationship and the marriage fail, 80% of them was initiated by the woman. Yep, it stings because now it sounds like I don't like women and I hate women and all that stuff. And that is absolutely not true. Because my mother and another lady who mentored me, IQ Networks, were the biggest mentors that I had in my life. They literally shaped me as a man. And I have no brothers and 3 siblings and their sisters. All my life, I've been around women. I love women. And here's why it hurts. And it pains me. And here's why it hurts and it pains me. Because I know that the truth is that many of our children are at a statistical disadvantage because they are born without having a father and a mother together raising them in a loving and healthy, stable, financially and otherwise environment. And I know it stings. I know it stings when I say that. But that is the absolute truth. They're at a statistical disadvantage. One of these days, I'm going to pull up the incarceration rates. I'm going to pull up the crime rates and all of this stuff that we complain about in our community and show you the correlation and connection between children born in a single family, mother, single parent home and poverty rates, crime rates, and what's the other one I said? Lack of education, all of that stuff. Now you try to convince me and tell me that there's not a correlation between the 80% of children born outside of marriage and the fact that I've shown data even on this show, the financial difference and the wealth gap between children living in a single family home. And you'll say, well, I'm a great mother. Don't doubt that and not questioning that at all. But children need stability and they need family. We need family. And I've been saying it. Family is the foundation of building wealth. 86 studies show that 86% of millionaires are married. And now that we have the lowest, 30% is our marriage rate, 27% from really solid data that I found, 27% of black women married, 30% were married overall, right? But they were the least married group of all. I believe it is a direct correlation between that and all the other numbers and statistics and data and things that I was just randomly throwing out there even right now. Between that and the fact that Black Enterprise and Black Entrepreneur magazine, they have done studies and show that we only hold about 2% of the wealth in the United States. And I believe it is a correlation between the fact that we hold the least amount of wealth with the fact that we have the most amount of single parent homes. We have the highest divorce rates. And we have the highest statistical per capita. We have the highest poverty rates. And our women, our black women, as much as we getting educated and all this, still on average, our black women earn less than any other major ethnic group in America. Even with the education and all the other stuff, the boss, the bad boss chick and all the other stuff, all of this stuff. Why can't we get back? I'm an advocate for marriage and building family. Why can't we make this thing work and get back to building strong families like we once had? Why can't we build another Black Wall Street? Oh, I know why. Because we don't have the family structure to do it. because we're only 30% married and over 50-something% divorced. And statistics show that a woman who has random sexual partners before she gets married is like, 80%, has an 80% chance of getting divorced, 70 or 80% chance of getting divorced, versus if you are a virgin. And I know that's old fashioned. And if men can do it, why can't we do it? Okay. However, the statistics show that if you are a virgin at the time you're married, that number of the potential of getting divorced drops down to like 20 or 25%, something like that. But it's old fashioned, and we want to have the right and the freedom to do what we want to do. We pin work on it and careers and jobs on it, when the truth is it was all for the purpose of being able to be sexually promiscuous. I can't even say the word. Let's tell the truth. Sometimes that's what's going to set us free. It's admitting to the truth. The whole purpose was what? So that you can just be able to have as many sexual partners and have sexual relations as you wanted to have. That's the truth of the matter. So I'd rather go ahead and get me some state-sponsored benefits, and I got all these children to feed, but at least I can continue to have intimacy with whoever I want to, because I don't want nobody controlling me. Welfare has failed us. And guess what? Even though you might get off of it, the mentality is still there. And it has failed us. The mentality behind welfare is, I don't need a man. Just let me get some benefits, the government, to take care of me. And you'll get out and trust me, do your homework. Go back. Go Google the pictures. You'll see pictures of thousands protesting for the right to get government welfare. To get the cheese in the can or the box, the cheese in the box. Y'all remember that cheese, that government cheese, and get the can that said beef on it. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Y'all know, y'all remember. Don't act like y'all don't remember them book, that 20 book in them books. You know, and then when you need a little extra money, you go ahead and take the $10 book up there and the $5 book up there, take it to the store so you can get the change back so you can buy a pack of cigarettes. Back then, they wasn't carding nobody, so you can go buy the cigarettes for your mama or whoever, your daddy. They send you in the store to buy the cigarettes for them. Ouch. I hope y'all share this video, because maybe we need to make some people upset and angry and mad and stir the pot a little bit so we can get back to building wealth. And I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen if we don't build families. It ain't going to happen. If we don't build families, you can forget about building wealth. Because that $3.8 billion that I showed you that is contributed daily to the GDP by women, and no, let me bring it up again, because like I say, I can show you better than, as my mama say, I can show you better than I can tell you. That's what my mama would say. So let me bring it up again, because the money and the wealth is being spent on hair products and fragrances and feminine hygiene and men's toiletries. We're leading the way, folks. We're leading the way. We're knocking it right out the park. We're leading the way in terms of those types of items that we spend on ourselves, right? Look at that. We're leading the way. $3.8 billion daily black women contribute to the gross domestic product of the United States. Got all that money, but it's going on your nails, lashes, hair, feet, pedicures, manicures. Right? Yeah, I know. It stings and it hurts. And then you factor in student loan debt, and everybody rah. Oh, they gonna give us $20,000 or whatever the amount is, forgiveness of our student loan debt, and you really think that that's gonna cut into the $120,000 of student loan debt. And you get $100,000, $120,000 of student loan debt, whatever it is, $80,000 of student loan debt to get a job making $40,000 a year. Or $50,000 a year, or $60,000 a year. Yet you say, I'm independent, don't need a man, you believe in feminism, and I'm talking about outside of equal opportunity, because I already told you, I'm all for equal opportunity. But I'm talking about all the other stuff. You want the right to be able to sexually express yourself, sleep around, have many men, or whatever, have your children, have abortions, have, all of that, do everything. And I'm all whatever, my body, my choice, all of that, birth control, all of those things that I told you from the 70s, that when you look at the data and statistics, it shows you that when all of that stuff came into be and was put into law, look at the marriage rates go down, divorce rates go up, unwed pregnancies go up, and welfare goes up. All of that family breakdown goes down. All of that happened. And then you say, oh, but I'm independent, strong, I don't need a man, I make my own money, I got my own bag, blah, 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 blah. But yet still be hypergamous. Still, socioeconomically, you want someone that's either where you are financially, or at least statistics and data shows a minimum of at least 30% more higher than what you have. So even though you might not be on welfare, the mentality is still there. The mindset is still there. And yet you want the modern day, right? The modern day flexibility to do whatever, but you still want traditional minded men to provide traditional outcomes, and we're not living traditional lives because we feel like we don't want to be slaves like our mothers were and this, that, and the third. But they had welfare where they was able to go ahead and, leave the family structure, and the government gonna pick up the slack. I don't need that man in the house, and I ain't gonna marry him. You know why? Because if I marry him, they're gonna cut me off my benefits. I ain't marrying that man. Go ahead and put me on the obituary as a life partner, as a friend of the family. I'd be okay with that. Just put me on the obituary as a long time friend of the family. Thank you, Brother Lester Buckley. It's the truth. And it's hard. It stings. I know it stings. But it's a hard truth. Now, if we go ahead and take care of that mentality and go ahead and uproot it and dig it up at the roots and get rid of it and burn it in the fire, we go ahead and get rid of that welfare mentality, I think we'll be able to get back to building strong families again. But let's keep it real. I already showed you the data and statistics showing it's a small amount of men that's birthing all these children. At least in the black community, it is, right? I showed you the data. I can show it to you again. So, it is some habits that we've formed out of the welfare system and the welfare mentality is some of the habits that we've formed and that we are justifying and that we are constantly, what are we doing? Like we're saying it's okay to do this and do that and the other. Some of those things that we're doing is absolutely detrimental to being able to rebuild families again in our communities. It's absolutely detrimental to it. And one of them, I'll say it again because I want to make it clear, is we gotta look, y'all. Go do it on your own. That's your homework assignment. Go do it on your own. And I know you love your children. Children are a blessing and a gift from God. But when we keep birthing them in a disadvantaged situation and position, we literally keep feeding the poverty mindset to the next generation. And then if you literally publicly say, we got to stop having all of these children outside of the relationship of marriage, people will come at you with this modern mindseted stuff and start telling you all the things that we can do on our own when we know that the data shows. Look at the crime rates in the city of Chicago. Look at the crime rates in any major urban city in America and tell me if you don't see a correlation between the institution of welfare and all that other stuff that I named in the early 70s to seeing the rise of crime in urban communities. And see if you don't see a correlation between the single parent family structure and the crime rates and the increase of the crime rates. Tell me if you don't see a correlation, because I'm telling you, you're going to see that it is. And then if you say, let's teach our children to stop it, not do it and make the same mistakes. And then all of a sudden, here it goes. Another whole group of 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old women, a whole nother group having children outside of marriage. And now you get into your 30s, 35, 40 years old, 40 years old with a 10-year-old. I mean, there's women that's 45 with a 5-year-old, 50 years old with a 10-year-old. Because the biological clock was ticking and you had to go ahead and scratch that itch. You wanted to have a child. And I get it. And I know y'all going to be mad at me for saying this, but I'm just here trying to help us. I really want us to build families again. And it pains me and hurts me to my heart when I see the condition of our communities and the lack of wealth that we build in home ownership is decreasing. All the things that matter in terms of building wealth is decreasing. But we'll complain about, what's that word? What's that word when, oh God, what is that word? Give me a second. It's the, oh my God, I can't believe I can't think of the word, but it's the word when you feel like gentrification. There it is. We'll complain about gentrification. Well, you know what the problem is? We ain't got no money, so we can't even buy the property and the houses and the land in our own community. Because we ain't got no, because we spending all our money on hair and on cars and on Jordans and shoes and on dogs. I've seen people spend thousands of dollars on a dog for an animal. And on welfare. Tell me that ain't utter insanity. Absolute insanity. I think I probably should start wrapping this up because I've shown you some numbers and some data and some things like that. I really hope and believe that we can reverse and get back to where we used to be. I really do. I really do, because that is going to be the foundation whereby we begin to build wealth among our people. Somebody said, well, why can't we have another Black Wall Street? Because we don't have strong families anymore. In 1921, we had strong families. We had strong families all the way up to 1965. And like I said, black women, you can say, well, and think about it. I could tie into some other things, but you think about it, the civil rights movement and all of that, that opened up some opportunities and doors for us as a people. But you think about so many of our black women that was championing, leading the cause of women's rights and things like that. And like I said, trust me, I'm all for opportunities, equal opportunities, employment, jobs, and careers. And I'm loving that. I'm all in on that. You know what I'm saying? Because that is giving some opportunities for women to realize their dreams, to begin to walk in their purpose. So many things like that. All for it. But here, while our sisters are championing this movement for rights, white women were given the right to vote in 1921. You didn't get yours in 1965 when we got ours. You feel me? So why are you championing a movement that wasn't even about you? A movement that wasn't even thinking about you. You think Margaret Sanger was thinking about you? And those people was thinking about you when they developed Planned Parenthood? If they were, it was only for, if you want to say, to reduce the population of our children being born in strong families. But it's a hard truth that many of us don't want to talk about, because we'd rather blame it on racism than take accountability for the condition of our families and the breakdown of our own communities. We would rather blame it on somebody else and say, is somebody oppressing me, rather than take accountability for the decisions and the bad decisions that we've made for generations that have left our families broken and our communities at a financial detriment. Somebody needs to hear this message, and I encourage you to share it. Press that share button. If you come through, even drop me some comments and give me, I want to hear from people that just want to just go ahead and just flat out tell me, I can't stand you. What you're saying is wrong. Because you know what? We got so many outs right now. We can eat unhealthy, gain a bunch of weight, and then get a big old banner and flag and say body positivity, body shaming. You know what? We can have a bunch of children outside of marriage and outside of, a healthy family structure. And then guess what? We can get another banner that says, my body, my choice. We can, because we got too many outs. And it's a shame how you can even find people and you can say they're in the church, they sing on the praise teams, they're worship leaders, they're deacons and ushers and all of these things, people that faithfully go to church. And yet we don't have any better outcomes than the folk that we say are sinners. And our outcomes ain't no better. Oops. We need to share this information. We need to talk about it. We need to have some conversations. And like I said, I would love somebody just come through the comment section, just blast me, tell me how wrong I am, and then throw some data down there about how the white man has suppressed us and kept us down for so long, and that's the reason why, and the wage gap and all these other things. 3.8. Let me just put that one up there again. Put that one up there again. You see that one? You see it? 3.8 billion black women, $3.8 billion a day supplied a significant amount of labor daily to the GDP of the United States. $3.8 billion daily. So tell me about the wage gap and all these other things that's still keeping us down. It's welfare, and it's a welfare mentality that has done it to us. And guess what? Like my mama said, we literally cut off our nose to spite our face. We've done it to ourselves. And as hard as it is to say it, it is an absolute truth. We've done it to ourselves. share this message. If you're watching on YouTube, do that. Drop some comments below. Share this video with your friends and your family. Have a discussion about it. Subscribe to the channel, the Working People's Podcast channel on YouTube. In fact, if you're watching here on Facebook, you can do me a favor. You can go over there on YouTube, James Hollingsworth, the Working People's Podcast, and subscribe to the channel, because we're growing, but we're running pretty slow. I mean, we ain't even 6 months old yet, right? We still, relatively a newborn, a little baby on the block. You feel me? Little baby on the block. But if y'all watching on YouTube, drop some comments below for me. I'll come through and check them out. And also ring that notification bell as we upload videos and new content. You'll get a notification about it. And then you can pop in and watch live as we're streaming, because everything is done live. And literally, if you watch here on Facebook, you can do the same. You can press the not subscribe button, but you can press the thumbs up like button, press the hearts on the video, and share it, because as you share it, it helps the algorithm to begin to suggest different videos and things, and share it with people throughout Facebook here. And if you're watching on the Working People's Podcast Facebook page as well, do the same. You can go ahead and press that thumbs up like button, share the video, and drop some comments below. As you drop comments below and you engage in the conversation, that also helps with the Facebook algorithm as well. And so thank you all for watching, for coming through. This has been a little sobering for me. Sobering because I know that is probably going to make some people upset, and it's going to be some people that get mad behind this video and still want to say, but James, you don't understand. You don't understand the crack epidemic from the 80s. You don't understand, James. You don't understand the mass incarceration of black men. James, you don't understand. You don't understand. You just don't understand. You don't understand. But I gotta go. I got to go. I thank you all for coming through. If you come through later and watch the video, come drop some comments below, because I do get the notifications when people have dropped some comments, and I'll come through and engage in a conversation with you. But welfare, it's a massive failure. Massive failure for me. And trust me, I grew up on it too, just like many of us did. But I don't ever want to see it again. It is highly detrimental to my family. In fact, when they matriculated us all the way up to the bridge card. A bridge over what? A bridge over what? A bridge to what? A bridge to poverty. A bridge to lack. A bridge to continuously stand in a distressed condition. I keep that bridge card just to remind me of where God has brought me from, and where I don't ever want to go back to, and I don't want to see my children ever there again. And trust me, we're doing everything over here to make sure that never happens. That my generations moving forward will never live in financial distress, poverty, lack, and financial misfortune ever again. So therefore, we're doing more than just trying to accumulate resources and accumulate assets. We're trying to actually create a mindset and a culture that breaks the curse of the welfare mentality that has strangled the life and the hope and the joy and the purpose out of so many of our people, and left them not just financially struggling, but left them without really truly knowing all the wonderful things that being free in your mind the opportunities that can open. You want some opportunities, rather than begging somebody to give it to you and saying they're trying to keep it from you. You want to open up some opportunities. Change your mindset. But I got to go. And I thank you for watching. And I'm imploring and encouraging you and asking you to share this content, share this video. Thank you for pressing that heart button. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching here on my personal page. And thank you for watching on the Working People's Podcast page. But I gotta go. And I am out.